Hi, I'm Dana Cataldi with Partners Trust Brentwood, and I'm here with John Ciolino of First Capital Mortgage, and I want to just get an update really on what's happening right now with banks and lending. We just had our Monday morning meeting, and there's a lot going on right now as far as first-time home buyers, lending amounts, issues with appraisers and appraisals. So I wanted John to give us sort of a little recap of in the last sort of 30 days what he's seen happening in the marketplace, because as a first-time home buyer, a second-time home buyer, a seller, it's really, really important to know what's going on at this point in time. So I'm going to turn it over to John so he can give us a little recap.
Thanks, Dana. Good morning. Just a couple of things. When I think back to the last 30 days and some of the important factors right now that we're really looking at in the mortgage business, one which is really important and we're discussing with a lot of clients right now, come October 1st this year are what we call agency jumbo limits, which right now are $729,750 in Los Angeles County. Those are supposed to be dropped back to $625,500. And believe it or not, you may think, well, that's not that big of a difference. It has a huge impact. There's so many loans between that $625 and $729. And what does it really mean to a consumer is interest rates right now for a 30-year fix, for example, up to $729 is probably anywhere from 0.5 to 0.75% lower than a loan that's over that. So it's a very big difference. So that's one of the things that we're discussing in the marketplace. Appraisals, we talked about appraisals briefly this morning, and one of the things that right now as a consumer, whether it's seller or buyer, you really need to be very, very careful on choosing, I don't know what the proper word is, but looking at comparables out there and using those comparables to base your price on, because there's a lot of transactions right now, believe it or not, that are going on where sales prices are being reflected in the county records that if you really dig into it, they're a lot less than what they actually sold for. And I'll give you one example. I had an escrow that recently just closed, and the sales price was actually $65,000 more than what it shows on paper. There's a lot of detailed information that I can't share with it, but there was a reason for that. And as a consumer or a buyer, when you're out there looking for a property, that would be something where you'd want to speak with that agent, and that would be Dana's job, obviously speaking with the agent that was involved in this transaction to truly find out what that property really sold for and why was it so much lower than what the comparables are. So that's an important piece.
And I think too, just in speaking with John and listening to sort of the stories in our office and banks and buyers and sellers, there's always the rent versus buy. It's the whole conversation of, do I jump into the market right now or do I hold back? I think there's just a lot of people not knowing exactly what to do. The LA Times gives everybody a certain perspective of what's happening in LA County. What's happening in the West Side is very different than what's happening in LA County. So I think it's really important to reach out to somebody who is living and working in that community that you're thinking about, so they can really tell you what the pulse is. I know I've written many offers lately. I just closed 3 deals in the past week, and I know that I've been in multiples all in the past month. So all those things are happening, but John, myself, we're all willing to give you all any information about what's happening right here in Brentwood and the West Side. So John, thanks. Any other comments?
One thought you just mentioned that popped in my mind, I'll make this brief, is interest rates. Right now interest rates are really low, and not just low, but really low. So one of the pieces that I did recently in Dana's office here is, if you look at interest rates and if they start going up, for every 1% in an interest rate, it's actually equivalent to 11% in your purchasing power. So I agree with you. Right now on the West Side, most of the transactions I'm involved in, I would say probably 80% right now, they were all sold with multiple offers. And you don't see that. You don't read that in the paper, and it's more of a global thing where you say, well, the market's really bad, but here on the West Side, it's still really strong. So if you're not stepping in yet, think about that, because if rates do go up, you are going to lose that purchasing power.
Yeah, and especially if you're in that loan amount that's up to $729, that's really, really important that you get in touch with John or someone about figuring out how to get pre-qualified, what that means, make sure your credit score is in good shape, because all those are pieces of this little machine that have to operate really efficiently and effectively to get you into your home. Thank you.
Thanks a lot.